Affiliated to this paper, I need freedom from my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping out just to unfamiliar coordinates. Hopped off the porch like I could touch the sky. Red is not one trip. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing. I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Game recognized game. I'm from the Bay, okay, I'm versatile and my slang's different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound. Got a target back on my backside. The cat peeling with the cast iron. Better run for it, run before I catch you. Niggas out ball it, block it. Trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life. Don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing. You do best not to test it. Yeah, you right. Real all in my blood supply. Dig ball up top, finna make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign. You know co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early. All right. Shout out to my man, Lehman Lucas. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. What's good with you, bro? Make sure y'all show my man, Black Free Thinker, some love for standing on business for 19 months. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
And shout out to my man, Vincent Harper. What is good? All right. So we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about this volatility issue with Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the 2035 Bitcoin price prediction. And we're going to ask this question about Solana because there's a lot of things going on with Solana. Let me ask you guys this question. Have you all seen the new place where you can buy Solana? If you know the new place where you can buy Solana, let me know in the chat. All right. 2035 Bitcoin prediction. What are they predicting that Bitcoin is going to be in 2035? Let me know in the comment section what the Bitcoin 2035 price prediction is. Now, you guys know 2035 is only 10 years away. It's only 10 years away. It's only 10 years away, right? What is the price prediction in 10 years of Bitcoin? I'm going to show you guys. Bitcoin is still on track for 1.8 million in 2035, says analyst. That's what I'm buying Bitcoin for. I'm not buying Bitcoin to sell it when it goes down a few percentage points. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying Bitcoin for 1.8 million. Shout out to my man, Detroit 313. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, $1 million. $1 million, right? Now, you know, somebody will say, oh, if you don't have one Bitcoin, I mean, can people do math? Let me ask you guys this question. Shout out to you, bro. You know, YouTube be irking my nerves these days. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I got to do the little cameo, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that the membership is still worth something. Then I got to be out the YouTube streets, bro. It's the YouTube streets, man. It's so crybaby and corny, man. Like, I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, this $1.8 million Bitcoin, that's what I'm buying Bitcoin for. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you got 1% of a Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes up to 1.8 million, how much money do you have? Shout out to everybody in the chat, because I'm sure everybody in the chat got at least a percentage, right? Everybody got at least, 10% of a Bitcoin, I would assume, right? But let's just say that you only got 1% of a Bitcoin. If you have 1% of a Bitcoin, how much money do you have at $1.8 million? Let me know. Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said, yo, I just bought L3. Yo, you see they put L3 on Coinbase. They put L3 on Coinbase. L3 is going up. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man, Lehman Lucas. What's good with it, bro? So do the math real quick, right? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Now, that's $18,000 in 10 years if you buy 1% of a Bitcoin and never buy Bitcoin ever again, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Right now, 4/12/2025, how much does 1% of a Bitcoin cost? Somebody let me know in the comment section, all right? Bitcoin's parallel thesis remains intact despite global trade concerns, projecting a Bitcoin price above $1.8 million in the next decade. All right. Now, you guys remember when everybody was saying there's no way that Bitcoin would reach $100,000? Well, guess what? You know what I'm saying? Guess what? Bitcoin remains on track to surpass 1.8 million by 2035, despite recent price corrections and waning investor appetite caused by ongoing global trade tensions, according to Joe Burnett, director of market research at Unchained. Now, you know, let me ask you guys this question. How many people have had conversations with people about Bitcoin and about Bitcoin's future, Bitcoin price predictions. When you start talking about these $1 million and $2 million price predictions in 10, 15 years, how do people feel about it? What kind of sentiment do you guys get? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. $847 parked today could possibly get you $18,000 in the future. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If Bitcoin is $1.3 million, how much do you all think that Ethereum will be? The way things are going, you know what I'm saying? If you guessed $500, I wouldn't be mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it'll be higher than that. But the way things is going with Ethereum, you know what I'm saying? If you said, Bitcoin is $1.3 million, how much is Ethereum going to be? It's going to be like, 500. The way Ethereum been moving, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even be mad if somebody said something like that. You know what I'm saying? Speaking during Cointelegraph's Chain Reaction live show on X, Burnett said that Bitcoin is still in a long-term bullish cycle and could potentially rival or surpass gold's $21 trillion market capitalization within the next decade. Now, mind you, right, this is all being said while gold is currently at an all-time high. Gold is currently at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you guys this question. Who knows what the spot price for gold per ounce is? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what the spot price for gold is. And how many people have been stacking up gold? You know what I'm saying? Not a bad idea. I stacked up a bunch of gold a couple years ago, and it's looking nice. I stacked up some silver a long time ago, too. The silver looking good, too. You know what I'm saying? Burnett emphasized that both are good base cases, adding that Bitcoin's trajectory could exceed these predictions depending on broader macroeconomic factors. I think that to a lot of savvy investors currently, Bitcoin's performance during the tariff chaos, I think, has sold a lot of people on Bitcoin. Now, how many people have checked their wallets today? The meme coin's doing really well, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think Floki is like up 100% Toshi is doing real well. Dodgelon Mars is doing real well. A lot of meme coins doing real good. You know what I'm saying? So Bitcoin's outlook remains long-term bullish. And again, if you ask me, if you're investing in Bitcoin, the outlook should always be bullish. No one is investing in Bitcoin, at least the long-term investors, to sell immediately. If you're buying Bitcoin, you're buying for $100 million Bitcoin, right? You're not buying for $100,000 Bitcoin. You're not buying for $150,000. You're buying for $1 million Bitcoin. When people are buying for Bitcoin, people are buying Bitcoin so that they can actually enjoy life, right? Shout out to my man Fantizzy. What's good with it, bro? They buying Bitcoin so they can actually enjoy life for freedom, financial freedom. You know what I'm saying? Not to sell it immediately for a couple bucks here or there. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin outlook remains long-term bullish. The automobile industry is significantly more valuable than the horse and buggy industry, Burnett said, adding that Bitcoin's more advanced technological properties will make it surpass the gold capitalization of $21 trillion. He added, the gold market is an estimated 21 trillion market. If Bitcoin hit 21 trillion and had Bitcoin gold parity, Bitcoin would be $1 million per coin today. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people would be well off right now if Bitcoin hit $1 million? How good would you be? You know what I'm saying? If you had $10 in Bitcoin, you'd be pretty good. You had, $100 in Bitcoin, you'd be even better. You got $1,000 in Bitcoin, you'd be real good. You got $10,000 in Bitcoin, you'd be really good. And if you had a whole Bitcoin, you'd be doing extremely well, right? You'd be doing extremely well. Since U.S. President Donald Trump's January 20th inauguration, global markets have been under pressure due to heightened trade war fears. All right. Now, as investors, right? Shout out to the investors in the chat. What should you be doing during the market volatility? if you ask me, one of the things that people should be doing during market volatility is finding floors and putting a little bit of something on the floor. Now, here's the problem, right? Bitcoin, throughout the global turmoil, has maintained 70%, 76% of its all-time high. Shout out to my man AB Promotions. What's good with it, bro? All right. During the global turmoil, Bitcoin has maintained 76% of its all-time high. That's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. I don't know of other assets that have done that other than gold, but gold is where people traditionally dump their money during times like this, right? So that would kind of be like comparing apples to oranges, right? Hours after taking office, Trump threatened to impose sweeping import tariffs aimed at reducing the country's trade deficit, weighing on risk sentiment across both equities and crypto. While Bitcoin's role as a safe haven asset may reemerge amid ongoing trade war concerns, physical gold and tokenized gold remain the current winners. All right. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Where can you find tokenized gold assets? What are some tokenized gold assets? Somebody let me know in the chat. Tariff fears led tokenized gold trading volume to surge to a 2-year high this week, topping $1 billion for the first time since the U.S. banking crisis in 2023, Cointelegraph reported on April 10th. All right. Now, this is what we're talking about. Strong hands hold during drawdowns. All right. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of y'all in the flush out gang? How many of y'all in the flush out gang? The FOG. Y'all in the flush out gang? Ain't no flush outs over here, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't do flush out gang activity over here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said China shoots its own foot. Yeah, they do. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's good with it, Brooklyn Queen? We're gonna talk about gonna talk about some of that stuff as it relates to crypto. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Bitcoin's volatility is falling. And again, we went over this in depth yesterday, right? Van Eck predicted this in 2020, right? Van Eck predicted that Bitcoin was moving towards being less volatile than the S&P 500. That day has come. That day has come. While another 80% drawdown during future bear markets is still possible, this will act as a robust acquisition period for the strongest holders, Burnett said, adding, the highs bring Bitcoin attention and the deep bear markets move coins into the hands of the strongest, most convicted holders as fast as possible. All right, what does that mean? When the modern investor talks about these whales accumulating, this is what he's talking about right here. This is what he's talking about right here. Arthur Hayes. Oh, shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug mentioned Arthur Hayes yesterday. Arthur Hayes, co-founder of BitMEX and chief investment officer at Maelstrom, predicted Bitcoin could climb to $250,000 by the end of 2025 if the U.S. Federal Reserve formally enters a quantitative easing cycle. All right. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What are the chances of this happening? What are the chances of the Fed entering a quantitative easing cycle? Despite the optimistic predictions, investors remain cautious and continue, quote unquote, rebalancing their portfolios, but are unlikely to take significant positions in the next 90 days before markets gain more clarity on global tariff negotiations. All right. With money flowing out of Bitcoin ETFs, investors are looking for safer spots to hold their cash right now, including strong currencies. Gold's a traditional vehicle in these cases and a go-to when markets are uncertain, he added. All right. So again, we've talked about this, right? How many times have we talked about inflation proofing your portfolio? Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug. My man Win Loser Rug said, I'm over here a ghost like Styles P. That's what's good. Hey, shout out to Brooklyn Queen. I appreciate you, Brooklyn Queen. Make sure you guys show Brooklyn Queen some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for supporting the organization and the liquidity fund. Y'all know we need that liquidity. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. I appreciate it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
All right. So, yeah, man. This is all very, very interesting. This is all very, very interesting. And a lot of this comes as no surprise, right? A lot of this really comes as things that we've already talked about. We're just now seeing it materialize, all right? We're just now seeing it materialize. Now, shout out to everybody. I talked about this very briefly yesterday. We're going to go over it. GameStop adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Companies are quietly adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. People are going to say it's not fair that these companies have so much money. Right? It's not fair. They got so much money. Let me ask you guys this question. Is there anything stopping anybody from adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet? GameStop is trying to be the next MicroStrategy with its Bitcoin move. Now, let me warn you all of a situation that probably will start to occur if it hasn't occurred already. All of these companies acquiring Bitcoin is going to change certain Bitcoin price behavior. And you're going to see Bitcoin start to correlate with a lot of these companies that are buying Bitcoin. And that correlation is going to last until Bitcoin is able to engulf other market capitalizations. Bitcoin volatility will most likely always follow associated volatility of whoever holds the most of it. Okay? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 says gold is backing up the dollar, digital currency, and pour into the XRP to knock out the debt deficit. Yeah. And we definitely got to talk about XRP. How many people stack in XRP? How many people have seen all these videos? Have 1,000 XRP, 1,000 XRP. How long ago did we say that? How long ago did we say make sure you got at least 1,000 XRP? Or if you don't have 1,000 XRP, make sure you're starting to work towards 1,000 XRP. Make sure you got 1,000 Cardano. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got 1,000 Polygon. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got 1,000 everything if you can. And then once you get your 1,000 everything, right, make sure that you go back, circle the block, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, right? Shout out to my man Carlton. What's good with it, bro? GameStop is making a Bitcoin Treasury reserve asset and has also announced a proposed private offering of $1.3 billion worth of convertible senior notes. Why are all these companies buying Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen? Here's the better question. Here's the better question. Why are all these companies buying Bitcoin and Carlton is buying crow at knife? No, I'm just playing. I just had to mess with my man Carlton real quick. You know what I'm saying? We all buying crow at knife. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Detroit 313. Throw some flames in the chat for Detroit 313. Yeah, we trying to get 1,000 everything. Get 1,000 everything. 1,000 Sui swap, right? 1,000 Cardano. If you can get it, 1,000 Solana. 1,000 Atom wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, you're getting 13% if you staking it, right? 1,000 Polkadot. Get 1,000 everything. 1,000 good coins. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know the bad coins, you can buy, you can get way more than 1,000, right? So now here it says, look at this. We're not going to get the whole article. I think I actually got a subscription to Wall Street Journal and Barron's. I had to try to log into it real quick. With its eagerly anticipated move into Bitcoin, the video game retailer and original meme stock name GameStop Corporation is following the cryptocurrency footsteps of a software company and Bitcoin play strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategies. All right, so let me just see if I can log in here real quick and see if my subscription is still active or not. Give me 1 second, y'all. And real quick, while I'm doing this, if you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. I thought I still had the subscription, and I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I don't. It's all good, though. Y'all got the hint. GameStop is trying to get into Bitcoin, right? Y'all got the hint. Now, this is where Bitcoin is going, all right? Bitcoin is about to take an interesting trajectory, all right? Shout out to my man Mordecus. What's good with it, bro? Make sure y'all show Mordecus some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man Mordecus for standing on business for 21 months. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it. Now, check this out. Bitcoin is preparing for up-only mode as U.S. bonds suffer worst sell-off since 2019. Do you guys remember when we were talking about risk? And I asked the question, is risk-free really risk-free? Sometimes being risk-free is part of the risk. Here's evidence of that right here. All right. BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes says Bitcoin is gearing up for up-only mode. Now, let me ask you guys this. In your assessment, in your analysis, why is Bitcoin gearing up for up-only mode? Why is that happening? How is that happening? Remember, we talked about the higher lows. Remember, during the most turbulent time in the economy in recent history, Bitcoin maintained 70% of its all-time high. Again, pretty impressive statistics, right? But for whatever reason, Bitcoin always has some type of other standard. Bitcoin can do ridiculous stuff that nobody else has done, and it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough. You know what I'm saying? BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes says Bitcoin is gearing up for up-only mode as mounting U.S. macroeconomic factors could force the Fed to intervene. And the Fed is going to intervene how? With this quantitative easing, right? Now, when the quantitative easing happens, that causes what? Inflation, right? Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said GameStop can't compete with Bitcoin. Nah, it's not too much. It's not a lot that can compete with Bitcoin, if you ask me. Especially, and again, like, to me, this is becoming very obvious. And for some reason, right? For some odd reason, it's like people still, they won't acknowledge it. They don't want to believe it, which I don't know why people would be so invested in not believing something that's clearly factual, but that's where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin is entering what former BitMEX CEO Arthur Hayes calls up-only mode as a deepening crisis in the U.S. bond market potentially drives investors away from traditional haven assets and toward alternative stores of value. All right. Here's why. Loss of confidence in U.S. policy boosts Bitcoin's upside prospects. What does that mean? Shout out to AV Promotions. AV Promotions said Donald Trump is a straight idiot gangster. If you're not buying right now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell people, bro. I don't know what to. Everybody's finding a reason to be a crybaby. I'm finding a reason to try to get as much money as I can so I can hit these dips, and it's gonna get lower. You know what I'm saying? You remember they predicted a 50% sell-off, so we might have these little tiny, bull periods, but the full bull run has not happened yet because the tanking has to occur, right? The purge got to happen, right? On April 11th, the benchmark U.S. 10-year Treasury yield surged above 4.59%, its highest level in 2 months. All right. The 29 trillion U.S. Treasury market has dropped more than 2% this week, its steepest decline since September of 2019, when a liquidity crunch in the repo market forced the Federal Reserve to intervene. Now, let me ask you guys this question. I got to ask y'all this, and I think more people should start asking this. Why is it that when people are broke out here, when people don't have enough money to pay their bills, how come the Fed never intervenes and helps us out? What's your thoughts on that? Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said many people think that Trump is going to scam crypto and feed it to himself and his friends, while the Congress approved crypto into the law. People always try to associate crypto with some type of scam, which is wild because a lot of these people are making it like Trump is Satoshi Nakamoto, like he invented Bitcoin, like Bitcoin is Trump's coin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where do people get this stuff? And then, again, people allow it. They nobody says anything. Nobody stands up. Nobody says anything. It's just okay. We'll just run with it. Okay, well, just run with it, right? U.S. President Donald Trump's unpredictable tariff announcements and reversals have fueled the chaos. After threatening sweeping levies on global trading partners, Trump walked back many of the measures within days for certain countries except China. The U.S. dollar added to the pressure, with its strength against a basket of top foreign currencies as tracked by the U.S. dollar index, dropping below the 100 mark for the first time since 2022. All right. Now, this is going to feed into things that we're going to talk about later because Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, came out with a very important prediction. Does anybody know what that prediction is? If you know what that prediction is, let us know. That further notched its worst weekly decline in over 2 years. In contrast, Bitcoin rose by over 4.5%. amid the U.S. bond market rout, reaching around $83,250 on hopes that the weakening macroeconomic conditions will push U.S. policymakers to act. It's on like Donkey Kong, wrote Hayes in his April 11th X post, adding, "We will be getting more policy response this weekend if this keeps up. We are about to enter up-only mode for Bitcoin." All right. Furthermore, bond traders are now pricing in at least 3 rate cuts from the Federal Reserve by the end of the year, with a 4th becoming increasingly likely. Rate cuts have historically been bullish for Bitcoin. All right. So now what they're saying is that Bitcoin, all of this put together, right? Bitcoin is now eyeing a parabolic bull run due to a weakening dollar. So everything is looking up for Bitcoin, right? Look, shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says, "Sometimes I wonder that this chaos is being created to make it easier for the U.S. to acquire Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency." That is a great comment. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Let me know what y'all think. Definitely a possibility, right? Historically, sharp drops in the U.S. dollar index have preceded delayed but powerful Bitcoin bull runs, according to crypto analyst Venture Founder. A falling DXY has typically been a strong bullish signal for Bitcoin, the analyst wrote on X, pointing to a clear bearish divergence on the chart. So once this chain reaction starts, where are we going? Shout out to Young Nine. What's good with it, bro? Where are we going once this chain reaction starts? He added that if DXY continues to slide toward the 90 level, it could replicate conditions that led to a parabolic Bitcoin rally during the final stages of previous bull markets, each lasting up to a year. All right. Additionally, Bollinger Band's creator, John Bollinger, offered a bullish outlook for Bitcoin, noting that the cryptocurrency is forming a familiar bottom at $80,000. So now the question is, and again, this is why, if you ask me, the way that people look at this, is wrong. The most important, if you're investing long term, you should never really be looking to invest based on price movements in the future. You should always be looking at it in terms of how much further can the price in the future move from the highest floor. This is why I always tell people you should always be looking at the floor, right? Now, if $80,000, or let's just even say 75,000, if 75,000 has become Bitcoin's floor, where is Bitcoin going from there? It's that whole scenario. Like I said, if in the rookie years, Michael Jordan scored 15 points a game, 25 points a game, how many points a game are we going to be looking at as we get into seasons 5, 6, 7, 8? We're not going to be seeing those 15 and 20 point per game games ever again. Those are the floor. Right? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said the floor is coming in 90 days. Facts. So now here's the thing, right? If the floor stays at 80 or 75,000, that means that when we go into the bull market mode, we're going to be moving up from 80,000. That's like if you build a building, right? And the first floor is the bottom floor, but then you build structures around the building and you turn the floors under the first floor into the basement, and you start the first floor at the 5th floor. Now you're starting at a higher low. Ground floor is now the 5th floor. Ground floor is now $80,000. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. AB says we're going to 150 soon, right? Speaking of AB, shout out to my man AB. Did you see Solana hit your price target? It was under $100. Did you cop? Solana had briefly hit under your price target, bro. Did you get any? So now here it says, meanwhile, a maturing falling wedge pattern for the Bitcoin price chart hints at a potential Bitcoin price rally towards $100,000. All right. So we're going to be back at the $100,000 level. Now, again, right? What happens when $100,000 becomes the floor? What happens when $100,000 becomes the floor? That's when we become ballers, right? Balling more than we already are, right? So look at this. Shout out to Carlton for this article right here. Make sure you guys show Carlton some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Carlton. And look at Solana, man. It's up 8%. We're going to have an in-depth discussion about Solana because there's been some interesting discussion about Solana. Look, I'm not mad at it. Shout out to AB. AB said, I didn't see it. I was focused on Bitcoin in the $76,000 range. I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Shout out to everybody watching, man. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. Also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. Look, Bitcoin reserve bills advance in New Hampshire and Florida. None of these people finna get the Bitcoin they think they about to get. None of them getting the Bitcoin they think they about to get. They think they about to buy all this Bitcoin. South Carolina, North Carolina talking about they about to get 1 million Bitcoin. Ain't none of these people getting no 1 million Bitcoin. It's too late. It's too late. Let me ask you guys this question. What's the chances that the United States gets 1 million Bitcoin? Look, shout out to Bronze the God. Bronze the God said, man, Coinbase could have sent the notification out. I didn't see it either. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. This is why we be setting those levels on our phone. Shout out to Lehman Lucas. Lehman Lucas said, bro, you need some Litecoin. Bro, I still got all my Litecoin, you know what I'm saying, from 2017. You know what I'm saying? I still got all my Litecoin from 2017. You know what I'm saying? I was buying Litecoin during the $29 days. You know what I'm saying? I just don't really do nothing too much with Litecoin, but they're supposed to be approving some Litecoin ETFs. You know what I'm saying? It'd be nice if you could stake it or something like that. I wish that you could stake a lot of the high value cryptocurrencies. A lot of them you can, but some of them you can't. I really wish you could. Shout out to Young Nine. Young Nine said, I had just started dollar cost averaging and back into Solana. Look, I ain't even mad at it. I am not mad at it. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said you could catch the dips around 3 a.m. usually. And again, that's why when we talk about these price levels, make sure that you put your own price level notifications in the phone and set your buy orders so that you don't miss it. You know what I'm saying? Look, hey, shout out to Bronson guy. Hey, what's up with Guts and Glory? What's up with Guts and Glory, man? You know what I'm saying? Oh man. Yeah, man. But all these states is coming with these reserves and all these businesses. We're gonna buy millions of Bitcoin. No one's buying millions of Bitcoin. No one's buying millions of Bitcoin. That's not happening. It's not even mathematically possible. They might be buying millions of Satoshis, right? But ain't nobody about to be buying no millions of Bitcoin. Ain't nobody doing that. It's not even enough out there for people to do it. So how they gonna do it? Yeah, he be in there tripping. That'd be having me dying laughing. Oh man, in there wilding out, bro. You know what I'm saying? New Hampshire is now the 4th U.S. state to see a Bitcoin reserve bill pass through one legislative chamber, while the Florida House Committee has a similar bill. They've advanced a similar bill. All right. New Hampshire's House and Florida's House Insurance and Banking Committee have respectively advanced bills allowing their states to create Bitcoin reserves. And again, I want you guys to pay close attention. You see states doing this. You see businesses doing this. Might be something that people want to do. Put a little bit of money over here. Don't touch it. Right? Look, shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said, I'm just laughing at the black community because they are a lost cause. Bro, look, we got into that a little bit last night, bro. That's that. Look, listen. You got to join the Discord, bro. You got to join the Discord. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what to say, man. I don't even know what to say. What y'all got to say at this point? I don't know what to say. This is what I got to say. Put a little bit of money into Bitcoin. Just put a little bit in there. You got everybody got Cash App. Buy you some Bitcoin. Don't touch it. Once you get enough Bitcoin to where you can get interest on it, find some place where you can stake it. Use crypto.com, whatever you got to do. Soon as once Bitcoin hits these levels of $1.3 million, you will literally be able to have paycheck money off of your Bitcoin interest that you invested $10,000 in today. Look, shout out to Bronze the God. Bronze the God said, join the party, bro. Frankly, it's embarrassing. Bro, like I said, I be speechless anymore, bro. Like I be speechless anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's why I just talk about cryptocurrency anymore, man. I can't. That's why I be scarce on YouTube anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I can do this. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I can do this. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. AB said, "Are the real players in the Discord?" That's facts. That's facts. Shout out to the Discord players, man. Throw some Discord emoji in the chat if you're a Discord player. So now here it says New Hampshire's House passed its Bitcoin reserve bill, which is called HB 302, in a 192 to 179 vote on April 10th, which will now head to the Senate. The state is now the fourth to pass a Bitcoin reserve bill through one chamber, joining Arizona, Texas, and Oklahoma. Listen, I want you guys to understand something, right? Do you guys realize, like, in the future, understand this, in the future, the link, just hit that link that's pinned in the chat, bro. It's right in the chat. And if it don't work, let me know. And either I'll put a new link in or one of the mods will put a new link in. Now, check this out. Do you all realize at the levels of cryptocurrency investment that we're doing right now, some of us will have more assets than businesses at the levels of where we're investing at right now? How many businesses are there in the world? Everybody's not going to have Bitcoin. Some people just going to have Satoshis. Look, shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, "I'm done, son. I've been available for questions and people are too afraid / stupid to ask. Hopefully they're doing their own research." Hopefully. Shout out to, if you're here, you've made it to the final stages of caring. You know what I'm saying? You've made it to the final stages of caring. You know what I'm saying? You at the last level. Now we're the last bosses of caring. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think any of us care anymore at this point. Because like I said, and I'm glad people are starting to see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You don't unsee it. And then you just get irritated. And just get annoyed. And again, what's crazy is all you got to do is look at the headlines. All you got to do is look at Twitter. All you got to do is just look at certain things on the news. You automatically know what all the videos, all the YouTube videos going to be for like the next week or two. You know what they all going to be. You know what I'm saying? You know what they all going to be. You know what they all going to say. It's one YouTube video and then all the other little YouTube videos that people come and collect the residual views on. They're going to all say the same thing. And nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. It's just ridiculous. We talk about this stuff in the Discord all the time. It's just like this. It's pointless. You know what I'm saying? But this is not pointless. Because this is going to make some people a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And the nonsense that we've had to deal with, the nonsense that we were handed, we all deserve lots of money. You know what I'm saying? We all deserve lots of money, and we going to get it. Shout out to my man AB Promotion. We going to get that money like Puff and G-Dep. Right? So now here it says, if HB 302 clears New Hampshire Senate and Governor Kelly Ayotte, I hope I'm saying that right, signs it into law, it would allow the state's treasurer to use 10% of the state's general fund and other authorized funds to invest in precious metals and certain digital assets. The bill also sets out how they should be custodied. Okay? The bill specifies that only cryptocurrencies with a market capitalization of over $500 billion would be eligible for investment, a criteria that only Bitcoin currently meets. And so if you pay attention to a lot of these bills are written this way. They're written with market capitalization criteria that currently only Bitcoin fit. Okay? In a debate prior to the vote, Democrat Representative Terry Spar argued that the bill is unnecessary and could undermine the future security of the state's digital asset stockpile. Unbeknownst to the committee and to the sponsor, the treasurer testified that they already have that authority, Spar said. He added that cryptocurrency, quote unquote, is constantly shifting and changing, and it's sort of dangerous to be kind of locked into certain kind of security measures. And I think that bill does this. Now, this is a bunch of nonsense, and this is exactly something that a Democrat would say. We already did the content that showed that Bitcoin is more stable than the S&P 500, whether people like it or not, right? So now, again, this argument of it's constantly shifting, look at the rest of the global market. Let me ask you guys this question. Okay, this dude, Spar, is saying cryptocurrency is constantly shifting. What did we witness with the global markets the last 2 weeks? Somebody help me out. What did we witness? What we witnessed was Bitcoin have less volatility than the S&P 500. That's what we witnessed during one of the most turbulent times in financial history. That's what we noticed. But you got this Democrat here saying that, oh, it's constantly shifting and changing. How is it? What's constantly shifting and changing? What is constantly shifting and changing about cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin's price going up? And one of the reasons why cryptocurrency had been volatile and, as he says here, shifted and changed in the past is because the Democrat government that we had for the last 4 years failed to provide any regulatory clarity. If there's no regulatory clarity, that automatically adds to increased volatility, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So again, this is a nonsensical talking point, ridiculous idiocy, which should be expected by Democrats and their constituents. You know what I'm saying? Republican Representative Jordan Ulrey countered that the bill was necessary as it could create the potential for a large amount of money being earned by the state in these investments. New Hampshire has 2 other blockchain-related bills working their way through the legislature. HB 310, which covers stable coins and real-world asset tokenization, and HB 639, which deals with blockchain regulation and dispute resolution. All right. Florida's House Committee passes a Bitcoin reserve bill. All of these people that are passing these Bitcoin reserve bill, they think that they're going to get 1 million Bitcoin. Where are they going to get 1 million Bitcoin from? Where are they going to get these 1 million Bitcoin from? Now, look, I want to ask another question. If a state is buying Bitcoin, how does that help people in that state? That's my question. How does that help people in that state? Some people would just be like, oh, well, my state's buying Bitcoin. Okay, and how does that help anything? How does that help you? Let's just say, for instance, hey, guess what? You woke up tomorrow and you found out my state is buying Bitcoin. Does that mean that you shouldn't buy Bitcoin? Just because your state's buying Bitcoin, I don't mean you about to get any. You got to get your own, right? And you better hurry up and do it before they drive the price up. Meanwhile, on April 10th, Florida's House Insurance and Banking Committee passed the state's Bitcoin reserve bill, which is called HB 487, with a unanimous vote. The bill has 3 committees to clear before it progresses to Florida's House. Similar to New Hampshire's bill, HB 487 would allow Florida's chief financial officer and state board of administration to invest up to 10% of certain state funds. Now, I want you guys to think about this. What have you guys noticed about all of these future Bitcoin price predictions? All of these future Bitcoin price predictions are all based on isolated events. They're based on the possibility of the Fed quantitative easing. They're based on the possibility of a rate cut. They're based on the possibility of increased inflation. They're based on crypto reserves. They're based on companies putting Bitcoin in their asset and on their balance sheet, right? Think about that. But all of these things aren't happening in a vacuum. They're all happening at the same time. So What happens if all of these things happen at the same time? Where does that take Bitcoin's price? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says, hopefully they'll use it towards retirement funds and infrastructure, but that's wishful thinking. Facts. Facts. The only way that you can control how some Bitcoin is used is to get and control your own Bitcoin. Right? My advice, make Bitcoin your pension plan right now. Right? That would be my advice. You know what I'm saying? And other assets, that look good and are moving in the direction that they need to move in order to gain wealth. Now, they're calling this the General Revenue Fund and the Budget Stabilization Fund. Okay? The bill's sponsor, Republican Representative Webster Barnaby, pleaded with the committee before the vote to vote up on this very important bill, which he claimed would put Florida in the leading edge of this very new technology. And again, these people keep repeating that this is very new technology. We all know that this isn't new technology. It's not new technology. You know what I'm saying? Florida's bill gives the state's financial chief the ability to invest in digital assets directly through certain qualified custodians or through exchange-traded products and details security and custody requirements. According to Bitcoin laws, which tracks the progress of digital assets legislation, Arizona is currently leading the race to become the first U.S. state to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I thought Utah was pretty far along the line doing it. I guess Arizona is. On March 24th, two digital asset reserve bills, SB 1373 and SB 1025, cleared Arizona's House Rules Committee and are now headed to the state house for a full floor vote. If passed by the House, the bills would then need the signature of Arizona's Democratic Governor, Katie Hobbs, to become law. I don't know if Katie Hobbs is going to do it. What y'all think? How many of y'all think Katie Hobbs is going to do it? I don't know if she will or not. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you guys this question. Look at it. Things are looking very interesting here. A lot of stuff is up really high today. Solana just keeps going up. Binance coin is up 13%. Now, take a look at this right here. Again, I just can't I can't not continue to voice my frustration with Ethereum. I'm just so irritated with Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. AB said he's upset. What's going on, bro? You good? Ethereum crashed on selling and liquidation pressure, but whales are still buying the dip. How does this happen? I'm still buying Ethereum, but I'm annoyed at the price of it, though. You know what I'm saying? When you got a significant amount of Ethereum that makes up a moderate portion of your portfolio and you see the value of it decrease by half, it's annoying. You know what I'm saying? It's annoying. But that's what we got to deal with. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promote. Did you go back and look? AB Promotion said, I can't believe I missed Sol under $100. I can't believe you didn't set the price if that's the price that you wanted to buy it at. We got to talk about Solana, man. We got to talk about Solana, and we getting there. AB said he feeling some type of way. We're gonna have to make a drop with some type of way. You know what I'm saying? How many people are still buying Ethereum? If you're still buying Ethereum, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you're not still buying Ethereum, give me a thumbs down. I'm still buying Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? I'm still buying Ethereum. The whales are still buying it too. So now here it says, whales panic sold Ethereum in addition to the series of liquidations. One whale on Maker added collateral push to to push the liquidation price down to $912. Man, I didn't see that at all. The 7 siblings whale started buying again at around 1700, signaling the local low may be near. All right. So, I mean, this is wild. They got so much Ethereum, they pushed the price down. And then once they pushed it down, they bought it all back up again. This is what they this is what they do. This is called the flush out. Right? Don't get flushed out. You know what I'm saying? Ethereum is becoming challenging even for whale traders. The token crashed into the $1,500 range, causing a series of panic sells and liquidations. At the same time, more confident whales returned to buy the dip. Again, what's going on with Ethereum? The Ethereum price behavior doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I don't know. I couldn't, I'm not one of these YouTubers who has to tell you that they know everything. I don't understand what's going on with Ethereum. I've been saying this at the very least for the last 3 years. I don't know what's going on with Ethereum. But one thing that we can say for certain that's still going on with Ethereum is that Ethereum is still, I want to say it's at about 36% of the all-time high. Right? So, I mean, that's, most cryptocurrency is not at 36% of the all-time high. So that's not bad. But, could and should be a lot better. Right? So now here says Ethereum faced a mix of selling and buying pressures from whales. As Ethereum sank to the $1,500 range, some whales decided to panic sell, while others got liquidated through decentralized protocols. Ethereum crashed to a daily low of $1,542.17 following the opening crash on the Asian markets. Later, the losses continued as Ethereum slipped to $1,448.46, triggering more centralized and decentralized liquidation levels. Whales selling preceded the recent market crash. All right, so we're going to take a look at this. The market crash was preceded by at least 2 significant whales selling coins on centralized exchanges and 1 high-profile liquidation on Maker. The selling started late on Sunday when Symbolic Capital Markets added 38,132 Ethereum to centralized markets. Another unknown whale panic sold 14,014 Ethereum in the past few hours, speeding up the recent price decline. So, I mean, let me ask you guys this question. When you see market movements like this, how many people think that these things are coordinated? If you think that these type of market movements are coordinated, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you don't think that these type of market movements are coordinated, then give me a thumbs down. More pressure came from decentralized liquidations. A whale on Maker was liquidated for a total of 65,570 Ethereum early on April 7th. The whale has been increasing the Ethereum collateral in the past 4 days, reaching a ratio of 143 for borrowing DAI. However, this did not prevent the whale from being liquidated. Like, this is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be funny, man, but this is absurd. Shout out to my man Frozen. What's good with it, bro? Hey, make sure y'all show Frozen some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man Frozen for funding the organization. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Hey, I don't know. When I be reading this, I can't help but think of just a big whale just flopping on the beach with a harpoon stuck in it, just leaking all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing could nothing could stop the whale from getting liquidated. Just sitting there with a harpoon flopping around on the beach with Ethereum coming all out of it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show my man AB Promotions some love. I appreciate you, bro. AB been holding it down, standing on business for 18 months. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
The whales just washed up on the shore. You know what I'm saying? Just flopping around with a harpoon sticking out of it, leaking Ethereum all over the beach. You know what I'm saying? In the past day, look at these whales too, man. This is what I'm saying. Look, check. This is what I'm saying. This is what we've got to do. We've got to find these tokens that in the next 5 years, we got like 50, 60, 70,000 of them, and they're going to be worth the amount that Ethereum is worth. Look at gold's price, man. Look at gold's price. Gold is $3,236 per ounce. That's wild. Shout out to Cameron. What's good with it, bro? That's wild. You know what I'm saying? In the past day, another whale with 56,995 wrapped Ethereum held in a marker vault was also liquidated. Another whale faces liquidation for 53,074 Ethereum at $1,495 per Ethereum. The liquidations may not be accounted immediately due to desperate Oracle prices used for the maker's vaults. Another whale repaid a part of the DAI loan, then deposited more Ethereum to lower the liquidation price to $912.02. All right. Decentralized liquidations may accelerate as Ethereum sank to another threshold price at around $1,491, with an additional 57,000 Ethereum threatened on Maker. Not all vault liquidations are immediately accounted, as some whales may post collateral to hold their positions longer. I don't even know how any of these type of markets work, but it sounds wild if you can't prevent getting liquidated. You know what I'm saying? It sounds wild. You know what I'm saying? Right. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. First and foremost, throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for standing on business for 19 months. Definitely appreciate you, Brooklyn Queen.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Brooklyn Queen said, I need these accumulations to reflect in the market, damn it. Right. If y'all agree with Brooklyn Queen, throw some flames in the chat. Facts. Shout out to AB. Make sure y'all show AB Promotions some love. I appreciate you, bro. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man AB Promotions for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
AB Promotions said, welcome to the Players and Playette stream. Hey, you know we welcome to the Players and the Playette stream.
I'm an old Mac from way back. One of the original players from the Himalaya.
That never gets old, man. That never gets old. So decentralized protocols carry up to $1.1 billion in Ethereum threatened by liquidations after various price levels. After the liquidations, the whales are left with DAI or other stable coins to redeploy, and some may return to buying Ethereum at a lower price. Additionally, around 22K of various forms of wrapped Ethereum have been liquidated in smaller decentralized vaults based on PeckShield data. Currently, Ethereum sellers store their value in DAI, USDT, or USDC, awaiting better buying conditions. All right. Whales are already deploying stablecoins during the price slide. Whales returned to buying Ethereum as a way to deploy their stablecoins. Even at the $1,700 range, several traders bought back into the market. Most notably, the Seven Siblings whales deployed $42.2 million to acquire 24,817 Ethereum. The Seven Siblings were not enough to stave off the selling and liquidations. However, this specific whale has appeared during multiple dips in January and February to acquire more Ethereum. I mean, like, this is wild. This is wild. You know what I'm saying? The wallet now holds, oh, look at this. The wallet now holds over $603 million in Ethereum, which makes up 98% of the whale's portfolio. The Seven Siblings wallet started buying when Ethereum was still in the $1,700 range. All right. And again, who are these people? Who is this Seven Siblings whale wallet? Who are these people? You know what I'm saying? Another whale used Spark Protocol to borrow more DAI and buy the dip on Ethereum. The whale acquired an additional 5,227 Ethereum. Currently, some whales may be using DeFi to improve their average price for Ethereum. The token is still useful for its DeFi sector impact, but whales are actively trading to improve their positions and hold more Ethereum at a lower range. The new reserves may be used for staking as Ethereum's chain introduces larger staking deposits of up to 2,048 Ethereum. Well, that's one problem that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? That's one problem that I don't have. For now, the renewal of whale buying is not enough to stop the rapid unraveling of Ethereum in the short term. The drive to protect lending vaults anticipates Ethereum sliding to a lower range, extending its 55% loss in the year to date. So that's nice. If you got Ethereum, expect lower prices. You know what I'm saying? That's wonderful. Right? And again, you know, like I said, me personally, I'm not going to stop buying Ethereum, but I don't understand what's going on with the Ethereum price. Like, it's just these whales are playing the whale games. All right. Now, this is something that people have been talking about for a long time. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warns that the dollar is at risk of losing world reserve status to digital coins, digital assets like Bitcoin. Now, this is a lot, right? This is a lot. Now, I want to ask you guys a question here. What's the implication of something like this actually happening? Now, another thing that's interesting about this, right, is that by the U.S. actually utilizing a Bitcoin / cryptocurrency strategic reserve, it could be said that there's a possibility that the United States might actually be contributing to the demise of its own dollar. You know what I'm saying? Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Larry Fink warned that the US dollar's world reserve currency status is not guaranteed to last forever and could lose that position to digital assets like Bitcoin. The BlackRock CEO also suggested tokenization can revolutionize investing, enabling every stock, bond, and fund to benefit from blockchain technology. Now, I want to ask you guys this question because, again, this is heavy. This is a lot of implications for what could possibly happen in the future, right? What happens if now, see, you know, it's different than when it was just a bunch of nerds making videos on YouTube. Now we got people like the BlackRock CEO actually saying, listen, we've made a choice. We've made a decision. Whether you like it or not, this is the direction that we're moving the world in. Now, if this is the direction that the world is moving in, here's the real question. The real question is, okay, well, what's next? My advice for most people is pay very, very close attention to what BlackRock is saying and mimic what BlackRock is doing. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Look at this. So he wrote this in his letter to investors. And again, I want you guys to understand, people keep saying, oh, you know, we're kept out of this stuff. They don't tell us that. Look, it's right in a public article, right on the block. You can read this. No one's keeping anybody out of anything. The people are keeping themselves out of this kind of stuff. In his annual letter to investors on Monday, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warned that if the U.S. doesn't get its debt under control and deficits keep ballooning, the country risks losing its world reserve currency status to digital assets like Bitcoin. The U.S. has benefited from the dollar serving as the world's reserve currency for decades, but there's no guarantee that will last forever, Fink wrote. So I want you to understand, listen, Larry Fink and BlackRock are preparing their investors for a world where the dollar may not be the lead currency. That is what this is saying. Hello, investors. I would like to continue growing your wealth. However, in the changing climate of the economy, one possibility that must not be ignored is the possibility that the dollar may not always be the world currency. Trust BlackRock and our superior investment expertise to guide you through these turbulent times and maintain your wealth in a world that looks very different than the world today. For the most part, is probably something along the lines of what this letter said. Now, someone with common sense hearing something like that, what would you start thinking? Let me know, because it's only very few people with common sense. That's why we got very few people that chop it up with us, right? So to the people with common sense, uncommon sense is what we should really call it. When you hear a warning like this from someone like a Larry Fink, what do you start to think? Let me know in the chat what you start to think. The U.S. has benefited from the dollar serving as the world's reserve currency for decades, but there's no guarantee that that will last forever, Fink wrote, noting that the national debt has grown at 3 times the pace of the GDP since Times Square's debt clock started ticking in 1989. This year, the U.S. government investment payments will surpass $952 billion to exceed defense spending. So the U.S. government's interest payments will surpass defense spending. Who gets these checks? Who does the United States write these checks? Who gets this money? You know what I'm saying? I want you guys to sit back and conceptualize that. The interest payment on the national debt will surpass defense spending. That's wild. That is wild. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. Cameron Jones said that the Somberitos get the money. They might. They probably do. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, if the situation is not rectified by 2030, that's the year Bitcoin supposed to hit 1.3 million, right? Mandatory government spending and debt service will consume all federal revenue, creating a permanent deficit. Oh, look at that. The United States, they're going toward a deficit and they're going to hit their deficit. Look, look at this, okay? Right? Let's put this into perspective. In 2030, the United States could possibly hit a permanent deficit. 2030. 23 years beyond that is when the racial wealth gap is supposed to hit a zero median. What happens then? This is my question for everybody. What happens then? It's already a bad enough situation in 2030 when mandatory government spending is consumed, you know what I'm saying, by the debt. That's like being stuck in two black holes. You've passed beyond two event horizons. Because these are irreversible conditions according to this. You know what I'm saying? What happens then? I'm obviously not anti-digital assets, Fink said, but two things can be true at the same time. Decentralized finance is an extraordinary innovation. It makes markets faster, cheaper, and more transparent. Yet, that same innovation could undermine America's economic advantage if investors begin seeing Bitcoin as a safer bet than the dollar. Now, I got this feeling that the unspoken part of this is that Larry Fink probably sees Bitcoin as a future safer bet than the United States dollar. Again, my question is, what do you guys think? Reflecting on BlackRock's performance over the past year, Fink noted that its U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, IBIT, was the largest ETF launch in history, growing to over $50 billion of assets under management in less than a year. IBIT generated net inflows of $37.4 billion in 2024 and over $40 billion since launch, dominating a market where its closest rival, Fidelity's FBTC, sits on $11.5 billion worth of net inflows, according to data compiled by The Block. All right. Fink also noted that IBIT was the third highest asset gatherer in the entire ETF industry, behind only the S&P 500 index funds. This is what again, ladies and gentlemen, where's this stuff all going? Yeah, I got to agree. Shout out to Cameron Jones. Cameron Jones says, of course he does. They are loyal to capitalism, not a country. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. The loyalty to wealth has those people united, whereas the loyalty to struggle and being broke has other people united. And you see very different outcomes from those paths, right? You know what I'm saying? Just something to think about. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, with more than half of its demand coming from retail investors and 3/4 from those who never owned shares an iShares product before, BlackRock has since expanded its Bitcoin offerings to exchange-traded products in Canada and in Europe. Okay. Earlier this year, Fink suggested that, look at this. Listen, earlier this year, Fink suggested that if everyone adopted the conversation of allocating, for example, 2 to 5% of their assets to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency's price may someday reach as high as $700,000. Now, again, this is an isolated scenario. This has nothing to do with anything else going on in the cryptocurrency market. This is only if BlackRock clients allocate 2 to 5% of their portfolio to Bitcoin. That in itself would possibly raise the Bitcoin price to $700,000, let alone the quantitative easing, let alone macroeconomic factors, let alone the supply crunch, let alone nation state hyper Bitcoinization, right? All of these things happening at the same time. Only one instance being discussed here could bring the price to $700,000. Tokenization is democratization. Now, this is interesting. Beyond Bitcoin, Fink said that tokenization could help move financial markets away from plumbing developed when trading floors still shouted orders and fax machines were at the cutting edge, turning real-world assets like stocks, bonds, and real estate into digital tokens tradable online via blockchain technology. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people have heard of this situation called, quote unquote, fractional ownership? If you've heard of this idea of fractional ownership, give me a thumbs up. If you have not, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with it, bro? There have been predictions, and I'll try to find some information on these type of things, and make videos about it, or do live streams about it. There have been some financial experts that have said that everything will be too expensive to own in the future, and how people are now seeing, you can buy a little portion of a Bitcoin or whatever. People are only going to be able to buy little portions of everything in the future, unless you have some type of significant wealth. Right? Which is one of the reasons why it's so important to strategize wealth. Strategize your income generating machine right now. Right? BlackRock suggests that the tokenization is akin to moving from postal services to email for investing, enabling assets to move directly and instantly, sidestepping the intermediaries. Every stock, every bond, every fund, every asset can be tokenized, Fink said. If they are, it will revolutionize investing. Markets wouldn't need to close. Transactions that currently take days would clear in seconds. And billions of dollars currently immobilized by settlement delays could be reinvested immediately back into the economy, generating more growth. Tokenization democratizes investing by enabling fractional ownership. So I didn't even know that this was going to go here, but it's here. All right. Fractional ownership. All right. Easier shareholder voting and broader access to higher yield investments, Fink added, making assets accessible to a wider range of investors. All right. In the letter, Fink also reflected on the historical development of capital markets, noting their role in expanding prosperity and helping individuals build wealth through investments. He discussed the need for further innovation to bridge the gap between public and private markets, and emphasized the importance of expanding investment opportunities, including enabling smaller investors to benefit from assets typically reserved for the wealthiest. Despite acknowledging the current widespread economic anxiety, Fink sought to reassure investors that such periods are not new, and like in the past, the economy will stabilize over time due to human resilience and the strength of capital markets. What does that mean? Shout out to Tarek. What's good with it, bro? What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? What that means is Larry Fink is saying, don't get flushed out. Don't be a part of the flush out gang. Do not be a part of the flush out gang. We're going to take a look at this article from Forbes, all right, to reiterate this point. And again, let me ask you guys this question. How many people have you all seen talking about these scenarios here on YouTube? Yeah, all of this is going on right now. You know what I'm saying? All of this is going on right now. Worse than 1971. U.S. dollar price collapse predicted to ignite $22 trillion Bitcoin challenge to gold. Now, what happens when this takes place? What happens to when this takes place? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, question, printing money supposedly causes inflation, right? Making money out of thin air on Wall Street is printing money, isn't it? Does that mean growth is bad? I wouldn't say that necessarily means growth is bad. I would say that when the money is expanded and there's no asset backing that money, then there's an issue, right? Because the idea of the stock is that the value of the business is supposed to back the stock. The revenue, all of the financial accounting information of a business is supposed to be the base case for the stock price. You know what I'm saying? So the actual bit, like if Nvidia has stock priced at XYZ, that stock is based on a fragment of the business's balance sheet. So the actual business is supposed to be the asset that backs the stock. So if a stock had a split or something like that, it's not necessarily printing money out of the clear blue sky. It's printing a certificate of ownership in a given percentage of a business. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm all in for this. How many of y'all are all in for this? The $22 trillion Bitcoin challenge. If Bitcoin reaches a $22 trillion market capitalization, it's gone beyond gold by $1 trillion. That takes us to that $1.3 million Bitcoin price that we all would love, right? And shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said, man, the doom and gloom talk is all over the place. Bro, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. Be scared. Go hide. You know what I'm saying? Get up under the covers in the quilt. Right? Now, check this out. Now, again, they keep saying Bitcoin has swung wildly over the last week. But then they don't say that about the stocks, and Bitcoin was more stable than the stocks. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin has swung wildly over the last week as traders ride U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff roller coaster. The Bitcoin price is holding up following the latest tariff shots fired by Trump in China after plunging along with stock markets in early April. Okay. Now, while traders bet on a Federal Reserve game changer, the Bitcoin price is braced for a dollar confidence crisis. Okay. Now, again, let me ask you guys this question. What is a dollar confidence crisis? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, what about a pump and dump? They put 100 million into Bronx Biotech. It goes from 355 a share to 128 per share. Then they crash it, and the value of the business is technically high during the pump. Yeah, they do the same thing with crypto. That's one of the reasons why people got to do their own research. That right there is a pump and dump. That's a scam, right? They're showing an illusion of value that's not really there, waiting for the money to fill in and back that value, and then immediately selling it and crashing the value back down to the price that it actually is. You know what I'm saying? So that's a strategy, right? That's a pump and dump strategy. So let me see what we got going on here. The question of a potential dollar confidence crisis has now been definitively answered. We are experiencing one in full force. ING analysts, including Francisco Pesol, wrote in a note seen by Bloomberg. The dollar collapse is working as a barometer of sell America at the moment. Now, again, I want to ask you guys this question. Does this situation right here have anything to do with the gold price being at an all-time high? If it does, give me a thumbs up. If it does not, then give me a thumbs down. The escalating Trump-led global trade war saw the ICE U.S. dollar index, which measures the U.S. dollar against a basket of global currency, fall sharply this week, dropping under the 100 level and putting it back on course to return to its 2022 range. All of this stuff that's happening right now, all of this stuff is going to help either stabilize the Bitcoin price or is going to help move the Bitcoin price up. So if you're a Bitcoin saver, if you're a Bitcoin holder, if you're a Bitcoin investor, this is probably not bad news for your Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Now, on 4/12, the U.S. dollar has fallen to its lowest level in 3 years as U.S. President Donald Trump's hot and cold approach to global tariffs drives extreme volatility on U.S. financial markets. All right. What we are going through now is worse than when former President Nixon took us off the gold standard in August of 1971. Mark Chandler, the New York-based chief market strategist for Bannockburn Global Forex, told MarketWatch, the biggest damage right now is to the U.S. brand. Now, what that means is that there's a situation where there's a lack of confidence, right? And what happens in those situations where there's a lack of confidence? What happens to prices? Meanwhile, the chaos and uncertainty of the escalating tariff war could help Bitcoin close the gap on gold's $22 trillion market capitalization, according to a report from Bitcoin and crypto asset manager Grayscale. All right, let me take a quick peek at this report. When did this come out? Oh, this is interesting. This came out on 4/9. This came out on 4/9. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people would be interested in looking at this report from Grayscale? If you guys would be interested in it, give me a thumbs up. If you're not interested in it, give me a thumbs down. I'm going to just put this in the Discord real quick if people don't say that they're interested in it. And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. Give me 1 second. My bad. I don't know what's going on with the internet nowadays, but it's like every time I turn the computer on, I'm logged out of everything for some reason. Hold on real quick. There we go. So, if you ask me, right, this is the important stuff that people should be talking about in terms of, like, quote unquote, the tariff war, not watching it like it's a football game. You know what I'm saying? Everything that anybody does, if you ask me, you should be doing it trying to get rich. You know what I mean? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. You should be doing everything like you're trying to get rich. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the chaos and uncertainty of the escalating tariff war could help Bitcoin close the gap on gold's $22 trillion market capitalization, according to a report from Bitcoin and crypto asset manager Grayscale. In our view, disruptions to the dollar-centric international trade and financial system could result in a more result to more reserve diversification by central banks, including Bitcoin, Grayscale analyst wrote. Now, this analysis that Grayscale has come up with, this sounds very similar to BlackRock's letter to its investors, doesn't it? If this sounds similar to BlackRock's letter to their investors, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, then give me a thumbs down. So we have two reputable asset management giants saying the same thing. You might end up saying goodbye to the dollar, but we'll manage your wealth so that you don't say goodbye to your wealth. Basically, that's what's being said, right? Bitcoin is too young for us to know how it would have behaved in past episodes, but historical data shows that stagflation tends to be negative for traditional asset returns and favorable for scarce commodities like gold, the researchers wrote. Adding that during the 1970s, the price of gold appreciated at an annualized rate of about 30%, significantly above the rise of inflation. So remember, What are we trying to do? We are constantly in a state of trying to outrun inflation. That is the goal. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Bitcoin, sometimes called digital gold due to its scarcity, has so far failed to follow gold higher as traders panic sell assets in the face of a looming global trade war, with the gold price hitting a record all-time high this week. Okay? The market is reassessing the structural attractiveness of the dollar as the world's global reserve currency and is undergoing a process of rapid de-dollarization. Deutsche Bank's global head of FX research, George Saravelos, wrote in a note seen by City AM. What does this mean? We're going to look at this too. What does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? There is a lot going on. This is gonna end up forcing me to do a couple more streams and possibly some videos. Right? And again, you know, what's interesting about it is as you listen to the content, as the content is presented on YouTube, a lot of it doesn't sound like this. So how accurate is the information that you're getting? You know what I'm saying? The dollar's decline is seen by some as boosting the Bitcoin price, as traders bet Bitcoin will follow in gold's footsteps, performing as a safe haven asset. Like a rising tide, the dollar's decline is lifting other assets. Alex Kupsagvich, the FX Pro chief market analyst, said in emailed comments, adding, a falling dollar supports cryptocurrencies. Now, let's ask this question. How many people have looked at their cryptocurrency wallets today? What is your cryptocurrency wallet looking like? What's your cryptocurrency wallet look like? Shout out to Kiwi Last. What's your cryptocurrency wallet looking like? Bitcoin's correlations with U.S. equities may have garnered excessive attention, while its ties to the Federal Reserve policy and the U.S. dollar trajectory deserve greater scrutiny. Trump has been pushing Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates as he embarks on his global trade war, fueling expectations the Fed could be forced to cut interest rates through 2025, either in response to a tariff-led economic slowdown or because Trump has fired Powell. Market dynamics are shifting as the Fed's outlook adjusts to pressures from U.S. trade policy, with expectations of steeper rate cuts in 2025 now taking hold. This pivot toward a more accommodative stance is poised to narrow yield differentials, weakening the dollar's appeal and in turn creating a supportive tailwind for Bitcoin. And then what? And then what happens after that? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said it's green. I want to dip. Right. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said mine looks like it needs more assets in it. Facts. And again, the global environment is supporting that. Right. All right. Now we're going to start our Solana. Now we're going to start our Solana discussion. All right. I need answers from everybody. Is Solana reserve worthy? That's my question. Now, there's some companies that are taking the approach that MicroStrategies has with Bitcoin. they're taking this approach on Solana. We're going to buy up all of the Solana. Well, who cares? Solana's not, $100,000 a coin yet, right? But Solana's an interesting asset, if you ask me, that has unlimited potential. It shouldn't be frowned at. And one of the most important features of it, you could do some staking with it. And to me, one of Bitcoin's biggest weaknesses, which is going to be, probably dealt with by other blockchains and other cryptocurrency companies, is that, you can't stake Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain. But the thing about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin raises in value so much. I mean, staking it will increase the value even more. But, just holding Bitcoin, a lot of times you tend to gain more value than you do holding coins that can be staked. Right. So there's that. There's that argument. But more money is always better. Right. Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 says Solana is worthy. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's my question. Where is Solana going? What are the price predictions? What is the adoption? Where's Solana going? Now, if you had this conversation with somebody who happens to be a Bitcoin maximus, the Bitcoin maximus will never have an honest conversation about other cryptocurrencies. It's really bizarre how Bitcoin maximus minds work. That's like saying that there's the idea that only Bitcoin can exist in the cryptocurrency space is like saying that there should only be one stock. Like the rest of the stock market is garbage. There should only be one stock. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? The Bitcoin maximus mind state is absurd, if you ask me. It's another form. It's a form of financial extremism. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I think Solana has an excellent use case. Solana is a high quality blockchain, low fees, and fast transactions. You can make apps. It's easily adaptable. If you ask me, honestly, you know what I'm saying? If you ask me, Solana is a more polished version and is a younger and more polished version of Ethereum. If you ask me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ask me, all of the Ethereum upgrades that Ethereum is supposed to be doing, Solana is like Ethereum if Ethereum was upgraded and worked properly. None of these other cryptocurrencies even have a use case of being a store of value. Bitcoin's sole purpose was created to be a transactionary, liquid form of value that could operate in the same ways as the dollar. And it's being used as a store of value. None of these other cryptocurrencies have a use case. This is a store. We're a store of value. Now, I don't know if anybody could ever, replicate MicroStrategies. I don't know if it's a real, smart strategy to say we're going to do the exact same thing that MicroStrategies did, but we're going to do it with Solana. Well, you're already not doing the exact same thing that MicroStrategies did because, for one, you're doing it with Solana. But for two, Solana is not made as a store of value, right? That doesn't mean that the price can't increase. That doesn't mean any of that. That doesn't mean that it's a bad investment. It's just not the same as Bitcoin. And my thing is, if you're going to be investing in another coin, I don't think that it's wise to try to substitute non-Bitcoin for Bitcoin. If you want to do what MicroStrategies is doing, my advice would be do what MicroStrategies is doing. MicroStrategies is not investing in Solana. MicroStrategies is investing in Bitcoin. MicroStrategies has a goal, a calculated goal of how many Bitcoin they want to invest in, how much money they want to raise, how much money they want to be worth, and they're trying to make that happen through their Bitcoin acquisitions. I don't know if any of these companies have calculated anything like that for Solana. I don't know if they have or not. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's ask this question. Where is Solana's price going? December 2025. What will Solana's price be? Somebody let me know what Solana's price will be in the comment section. December 2025. Now, do you guys remember when we talked about there were vendors per se adding Solana to their offerings? Who are these people adding Solana to their offerings? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says $1,000. He thinks that by the end of the year, Solana could hit $1,000. I don't think that that's outside the realms of possibility. I think there's a very good possibility for that, or at the very least, approaching $1,000. Right? Anybody else got any guesses? Now let's take a look at this. PayPal is doing this. PayPal pushes further into crypto by adding Chainlink and Solana as new offerings, making it where Chainlink and Solana are more available to more people. Cash App is going to have to do something about this. Cash App going to have to start offering XRP and Ethereum. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people will buy Solana and Chainlink from PayPal? If you will buy Solana and Chainlink off of PayPal, give me a thumbs up. If you won't, then give me a thumbs down. The move expands PayPal and Venmo users' access to major cryptocurrencies amid growing regulatory clarity in the United States. PayPal and Venmo users in the U.S. can now buy, sell, and transfer Link and Sol along with other tokens already supported. I think you can buy Ethereum on PayPal too. I think you might be able to buy XRP if I'm not mistaken either. Also, Cash App still only offers Bitcoin. They got stocks on there, but they only offer Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, I don't know how many people are sending Solana wallet to wallet all like that. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, I may, but I'll probably stick to crypto.com and Coinbase. Listen, I'm only buying tokens on crypto.com. And the reason why I'm only buying coins on crypto.com is because they give you free crow. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get that free crow every time I buy some crypto and stake it. I don't know. Is there any other cryptocurrency exchange that gives you free cryptocurrency for buying crypto? Like you actually get free crow for buying crypto on crypto.com. Yeah, and shout out to Black Free Thinker. I do that too. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says, I'll stick with my Bitcoin roundups on Cash App. Right. You know what I'm saying? And, if they have a Bitcoin app, I do the app. I try to do the app campaigns on crypto.com. I don't know anywhere else that just gives you free crypto, except for, you might have to do the little crypto lessons and stuff like that. Shout out to Detroit 313. Detroit 313 said, I'm having issues with crypto.com to get my account back. Their customer service is like horrible. I almost had to fight them to get some Matic that I had lost. You know what I'm saying? I made a video about it and everything. So now here it says the new tokens will be available to U.S. users over the next few weeks. This move is part of PayPal's continued expansion into the cryptocurrency space following its initial launch of crypto support in 2020. All right. PayPal has added Chainlink and Solana to its growing list of supported cryptocurrencies, giving users of both PayPal and Venmo the ability to buy, hold, sell, and transfer tokens directly from their account. Now, here go the thing. Can you stake? The move reflects the payment giant's continued push into the cryptocurrency space after first launching crypto support in 2020. The new tokens will roll out to U.S. users over the next few weeks. All right. Offering more tokens on PayPal and Venmo provides users with greater flexibility, choice, and access to digital currencies, said May Zabineh, PayPal's vice president of blockchain, crypto, and digital currencies, in a press release. The company, which has also launched its own US dollar-backed stablecoin, has last year moved to allow its business clients access to crypto directly from their accounts in the US. All right. So, I don't really know how this is going to work out. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, back in 2021, I accidentally bought 21 million SHIB. You still got them? Hopefully you still got them. You know what I'm saying? That's a decent little chunk of change. You know what I'm saying? So this company that I was hinting at, they're called Janover Stock. How many people have ever heard of Janover Stock? If you guys have heard of Janover Stock, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, then give me a thumbs down. Oh, they gave you a refund on it? I'd have kept the SHIB. I've accidentally bought too much. That's what, when you switch payment methods, it takes it up to automatically buying $100. So you got to always watch that. You know what I'm saying? I actually did that. I do that all the time by accident. I'll be like, forget it, man. I'm just keeping it. You know what I'm saying? That bill will just get paid later. If it get paid at all. You know what I'm saying? Janover Stock is surging on hopes to become the next MicroStrategy. Is the Solana-focused company a buy here? All right, so this company is focused on Solana in the way that MicroStrategies is focused on Bitcoin. So I guess, I don't know, I guess you would call these people like some Solana maximalists. Oh, it was rent week. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Janover shares have been all the range in financial markets in recent sessions after the software as a service company announced plans of adding Solana to its balance sheet. With its new crypto treasury strategy, Florida-based Janover hopes to mimic the exponential growth in MicroStrategy stock ever since it started investing in Bitcoin. Now, here's my thing, right? If more companies start adopting a Solana strategy, oh, absolutely, it's going to raise the price of Solana. But, who knows if that's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? However, there are several reasons why investors should remain cautious in buying JNVR stock. All right, so we got to keep an eye on this JNVR stock. All right, I'm gonna jot this down. We're gonna track this bad boy. JNVR. All right, I don't know if that's one that we tracking already or not. Are we already tracking that? Somebody let me know. I don't think that's one of the ones that we're already tracking. However, there's several reasons why investors should remain cautious in buying JNVR stock. Shares are up more than 600% versus its year-to-date low at the time of writing. Oh, that sounds good. Right? JNVR is disconnected from fundamentals. Janover's recent stock price rally bears a striking resemblance to the meme stock phenomenon. Much like GameStop in 2021, the massive surge in JNVR shares this week was attributed primarily to retail enthusiasm instead of strong fundamentals. With less than $3 million in cash as of this writing, Janover will likely have to raise fresh capital in the near future, which may dilute its existing shareholders in the coming months. It sounds to me right off the rip, I don't know if they're built to be doing something like this. You know what I'm saying? What do you got? If you guys think that they're built to be doing something like this, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that they're built to be doing something like this, give me a thumbs down. I don't necessarily know if they're built to be doing something like this. Plus, investors should remember that past performance in financial markets does not guarantee future returns. So there are no promises that JNVR will find success with its crypto strategy just because MicroStrategies did. And again, they're not even the same type of strategy. Like, just because you decide to start buying up a bunch of crypto, that don't make you MicroStrategies. That's like saying, you know what, I'm going to decide to play basketball. That's not going to make me Michael Jordan. It's not going to make me LeBron James. We got to know what the strategy is. We got to know what the plan is. You know what I'm saying? We joke about MicroStrategies and Michael Saylor buying up all that Bitcoin, right? But they actually have a written plan. They have a strategy that they want to do. They have a goal that they want to accomplish, and they have a means of how they plan on doing it. I don't know if everybody else does. Even our little group of investors that we have here, we have a plan. We have a goal. There's specific benchmarks that we look at, right? I don't even know if they have something as detailed as what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? They say that Janover is an overvalued high beta stock. What does that mean? When they talk about the stock beta, again, so now we're talking about volatility. This is one of the reasons, again, this is why I had asked people, what are the beta coefficients of these things? You know what I'm saying? Investors should tread with caution on Janover stock also because it's overvalued at writing. JNVR is currently trading at 25 times trailing sales. In its fourth financial quarter, the online platform that connects real estate borrowers with lenders lost nearly $500,000 despite an 80% year-over-year increase in revenue, indicating continued challenges with operational efficiency. Note that JNVR has a beta of about 1.34 as of writing, which suggests it's incrementally more volatile than the broader market and is therefore not suitable for the current turbulent macroeconomic environment. Now, is there anybody right now that's available that can give us the JNVR current price? Let me know in the chat what the current price is of JNVR. Investors should be on the lookout for more stability ahead of a slowdown, not volatility. Finally, no Wall Street analysts currently cover Janover stock as tracked by barchart.com. This indicates a lack of institutional interest that often leads to reduced liquidity. Additionally, stocks with no analyst coverage are typically more speculative as well. On the date of publication, Wajid Khan did not have either directly or indirectly positions in any of the securities mentioned in this article. All information and data in this article is solely for informational purposes. All right. So, yeah, I mean, the company that did this analysis, they're not even invested in Janover. All right. So CNBC, I should say, they happen to write an article about them as well. All right, shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said 51.21. Is it up today? Or is it down? Or is it trading sideways? Now look at this. This is what CNBC had to say. Crypto veterans seek to make publicly traded Janover the MicroStrategy of Solana. How do you do that? We're just gonna buy up a bunch of Solana, and then what? What are you gonna do? Stake it? Where is Solana going? What is the what is the long-term goal of the Solana? What price are you trying to buy for? Like, what's the strategy here? See, like, just buying up a bunch of Solana is not a strategy. You can't just sit there and say, I'm going to buy up a whole bunch of Solana and I'm going to be the micro strategies of Solana. What are you going to do with the Solana? How much Solana are you trying to buy? What's your long-term goal? How much do you want to improve the equity of your company? You know what I'm saying? A team of former executives from the popular Kraken exchange has acquired majority ownership of the software company Janover. The new leadership will adopt a digital assets treasury strategy, with the principal holding in its reserve being Solana's SOL token. Now, this happened before, right? Now, who also had a lot of Solana? Anybody remember? There was another company, and that company also had a lot of Solana. And things didn't turn out real well for that company. And it affected the Solana price negatively. Does anybody remember that story? Who we talking about? So one thing that I would say about Solana in its current stage is if a company starts acquiring a lot of Solana, and it's the only company that's acquiring a lot of Solana, past history shows that Solana's price will react dramatically to changes in sentiment of the company that's holding it. As of right now. So again, let me ask you guys that question. What company was that where that happened at? I talk about it all the time. That's when I happen to get all my Solana. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says it's been running like crazy recently, but then again, this may be the new game. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? It absolutely might be. The company has raised $42 million in an offering of convertible notes. So again, this is what MicroStrategies did. GameStop is doing this too. And warrants from Pantera Capital, Kraken, Arlington Capital, and several other investors, which will be used to acquire Solana. Okay. A small publicly traded software company is looking to become the quote-unquote MicroStrategy of Solana. Janover, a marketplace operator that connects commercial real estate borrowers and lenders, is adopting a digital assets treasury strategy in which the principal holding in its reserve will be the Solana token, SOL, after a group of crypto industry leaders acquired majority ownership of the company. Okay. The group, a team of former employees of the popular crypto exchange Kraken, bought 728,632 shares of Janover common stock and all 10,000 shares of outstanding of its Series A preferred. The company intends to change its name to DeFi Development Corporation and revise its ticker symbol. Shares of Janover ended the day up 842.5% after soaring more than 1,000% at one point. Like, this is wild. Look at this. Not do you see why they were saying this is overpriced? All this happened on Monday, April 7th. 9 a.m. It started out as $4 a share. By market close, it was $37.70. All on Solana speculation. Like, this is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Why wouldn't I don't know. The number of public companies looking to mimic MicroStrategy's exponential growth by adopting its pioneering Bitcoin acquisition policy has grown in recent months. GameStop is the most notable recent example, but again, these companies are buying Bitcoin. Janover is buying Solana. Like, Solana and Bitcoin are not exchangeable. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not the same thing. You know what I mean? But Janover is perhaps the first in the U.S. to adopt that strategy in connection with Solana. Canada's Sol Strategies has similar ambitions for a Solana Treasury Reserve. All right. Solana is a 5-year-old public blockchain platform that promises to provide fast transaction speeds as well as low fees for developers and users. And again, it's not a store of value, right? It's not advertised as, or it wasn't created to be a store of value. So the question is the use case of Solana appropriate for this type of strategy? That would be my question for you guys. The group behind Janover plans to begin accumulating Solana immediately. Joseph Onorati, the newly appointed chairman and CEO of the company, told CNBC. He did not detail a purchase schedule or methodology, but said investors should expect a structure that is transparent, methodical, and deeply aligned with the Solana ecosystem. What does that even mean? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Janover has raised $42 million in an offering of convertible notes and warrants from Pantera Capital, Kraken, Arlington Capital, and other investors, which will be used to acquire Sol, the company said on Monday. Bitcoin has and always will be the most powerful store of value, but Solana is the foundation for an entirely new high-performance financial system, Onorati said. While Bitcoin is optimized for security and scarcity, Solana is optimized for speed, usability, and programmability. Okay, so now we're starting to see where this is going. That means that unlike Bitcoin, which is largely used to move value across the network, Solana can power decentralized finance applications as well as consumer apps, games, and more. It also means Solana comes with more volatility, which is why Onorati sees as a feature, not a bug. All right. So now they're talking about comparing Ethereum to Solana, which is interesting because we kind of just ran this down, right? So let's see what they have to say about it. Solana, viewed as a faster and less expensive alternative to the Ethereum network, has become the go-to network for meme coins. In the rally that followed President Trump's second inauguration in January, Solana outperformed most major cryptocurrencies, but it has been one of the hardest hit amid the recent risk-off slump. The Solana token has lost more than 45% in 2025, compared with Bitcoin's 16% decline. Nevertheless, several asset managers have filed to launch ETFs tracking the performance of the Solana token, including Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, VanEck, and Bitwise. Janover also plans to acquire validators, which can be used not just to acquire Sol tokens, but to stake them as well, which involves earning rewards for locking up Sol tokens on the network. Solana offers yield via staking, validator incentives, and smart contract utility, which allows us to build deeper alignment with the network, Onorati said. That makes it not just a treasury asset, but a flywheel for long-term accumulation and ecosystem participation. So they want to have an influence on the Solana chain as well. All right, so that's one of the reasons why they're doing that. Sounds interesting. We'll see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So I want to just show you guys this really briefly. This is something that we talked about in the past. The fusion energy race. We've talked about this when we discussed China's fusion engine, what they call the quote unquote artificial sun. All right. Now articles are being written about the fusion energy race. Now, let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to the quote unquote fusion energy race, what does this mean to you? When I see this is energy innovation, investment opportunity. Right? That's the question. Shout out to Cameron. How long does it run? Right. We don't have one. It's infinite power. Facts. Facts. So let's look at this real quick. Fusion energy race is on. 2 local lawmakers want California to lead the way. Okay. Now, there's going to be a fusion war. And that fusion war is going to take place between the United States and China. Right now, China is leading the fusion race. Right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. The United States is probably going to do whatever it can, use whatever kind of power it has, whatever, manipulation ability it has to try to slow down China's fusion process or to try to decrease the revenues and investment inflow into China's fusion business, right? A bill from State Senator Anna Cabarello would provide $100 million in annual funding to fusion energy research. Fusion energy provides clean, plentiful energy without the dangers and wastes of fission power. Scientists believe they can have fusion power in the nation's electric grid by 2030, the same time that Bitcoin is supposed to be $1.3 million. You know what I'm saying? The same time that Bitcoin is supposed to be $1.3 million, we'll all have plenty of money to be able to invest in some of these companies. Scientists at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in 2022 stunned the world when they showed that for a fraction of a second at least, the power of the sun could be replicated on Earth. Scientists there fused 2 hydrogen isotopes, creating helium, and created more energy than the experiment required. Much like the atomic race and the space race, countries around the world want to be the first to harness fusion energy and apply it to their power grids. The first to do so will have access to plentiful, clean energy source without the same radioactive waste or dangers as traditional fission facilities, said Mike Campbell, owner of MCM Consultants and professor of practice at UC San Diego. A single milligram of the 2 hydrogen isotopes in the reaction can create 100 kilowatt hours of energy, Campbell said. Listen, let me explain this real quick. You see this? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says in 2040, a Toyota Corolla will cost $150,000. People gonna be taking Ubers. People gonna wish they had a hoopty. We'll still be alive in 2040. You know what I'm saying? The world is gonna be a very interesting place for some people. You know what I'm saying? Fusion is nature's way of making energy. Look, this will completely revolutionize the electric industry, the power industry. They'll be making electricity for almost nothing and charging millions of dollars for it. Shout out to Cameron Jones. Cameron Jones says you got to explain what a kilowatt hour is so they understand. At this point, I think we should just let people hang. You know what I'm saying? If people have been paying the electric bill all their life and they don't know what a kilowatt hour is, you in the wrong place, right? You know what I'm saying? We gotta start putting the boundaries down, man. We gotta start letting people know, like, you ain't supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? You ain't supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a public club. You know what I'm saying? This ain't public property. This ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you dumb as hell, this definitely is the wrong place for you, right? We had Cameron standing at the door. You know what I'm saying? Checking people's Instead of checking people's IDs, we're gonna be checking IQs. You know? So listen, here it says fusion is nature's way of making energy. Then he goes and says this: it's God's way or nature's, whatever you want to say, said Campbell. And we're trying to do this on Earth, something that God or nature has made isn't easy. Public funding encourages cooperation in fusion research. So they're paying lots of money. They're paying lots of money for people to get into fusion research. Now, let me ask y'all this. The money is out there. How many fusion scientists we got? Here we go. Now we got to ask the questions, right? Now we got to ask the questions. Campbell helped build the ignition device at Lawrence Livermore that fired 192 lasers to heat hydrogen to 3 million degrees Celsius. Now, China is well on its way to outdoing that laser built in the 1990s. However, there is no evidence that China has achieved ignition, such as what was done at Lawrence Livermore, according to a February report from the U.S. Commission on the Scaling of Fusion Energy. All right. But that country's $1.5 billion in public funding in 2024 doubles U.S. funding, and they have several significant developments coming later this year and next. The Chinese unified approach differs from the U.S., the commission said. Since 2022, at least 12 U.S. startups have joined the race, according to the Fusion Industry Association. Researchers say the U.S.'s desperate approach allows scientists to tackle the multitude of problems still besetting fusion energy. The $6 billion in American private investment outpaces Chinese funding, but researchers fear an over-reliance on private money could stifle information sharing. Okay? Let me ask you guys this question. How many people are invested in fusion companies? If you guys are invested in fusion energy companies, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, then give me a thumbs down. Now, California legislators want to make sure the Golden State continues at the forefront. State Senator Anna Caporello now has a bill with Senator John McNerney to fund $100 million annually for labs and startups. Look, let's make a lab and get this $100 million. Right? There go the money. You know what I'm saying? SB8. Now, let me ask you guys this. Who's even qualified to do this that we got? Right? Who's qualified to do this? SB 80 creates a commission to approve and distribute funds to eligible recipients. Who's eligible for this? The goal is to have commercial fusion energy in the state by 2030. Fusion energy is the key to our clean energy future, Caporello said in a statement. This technology has the potential to provide California with carbon-free, reliable power while growing our economy and creating thousands of high-paying jobs. Now, shout out to the people that have been around for a long time. You guys remember the PowerPoint that I made 3 years ago?
I woke up at 4 a.m.
If you guys remember the PowerPoint that I made 3 years ago, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. Fusion energy and energy innovation was on there, right? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. What's good with it, bro? Right? That stuff was all on there. It hasn't gone away. So let's check out just a little bit of this video. All right.
I immediately went to my phone to check the results.
I saw the email, and my first reaction was, we've done it.
I started jumping up and down at the airport. I started crying, and I was just like, I can't believe it.
I felt like I was seeing one of those moments that's really a once-in-a-lifetime kind of moment in science.
It really is a Wright brothers moment. It was a man landing on the moon.
Hang on. What happened? We got to go back to the beginning.
So NIF is the world's most energetic laser. It has 192 laser beams, and we use those laser beams in this large 3 football field size facility to compress little peppercorn sized capsules of hydrogen fuel.
And that capsule is filled with deuterium and tritium. And as we put all of this energy from the laser into the capsule, we compress it really quickly, and it gets really, really hot and really, really dense really, really fast. As those atoms get really close together and really hot, they fuse and they release a lot of energy. It's just like what the sun does.
So now again, like, we got to ask this, like, it should, like, people want the money, right? Okay, so check this out. It's $100 million available to anybody who can solve nuclear fusion. Control the heating of plasma for an adequate duration of time to create transferable energy. Let me ask you guys this question. Where are the qualified people to do this at? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said, what about Terrence Howard's vision on energy? We can try that. Put his white paper to the test. Now, here's my thing, right? Terrence Howard doesn't need a grant. All those movies that he did, he should have enough money to put something like that together on his own, right? I don't have Terrence Howard money. I'm trying to get the grant. Right? But now, here's my thing. If Terrence Howard, can come up with this theory, why can't he come up with the money to put it into production? Now, they're only here in California, not here in California, but in California, they're only giving $100 million for people setting up these labs, right? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said, nah, he didn't get that much for Iron Man. However much he got, he still got more money than me and you, right? So he's got to start, right? We don't. He should do his own thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now, you know what I'm saying? To me, like, my thing with that whole situation for Terrence Howard is good luck, bro. You know what I'm saying? And here's another thing with Terrence Howard, right? Terrence Howard is around a network of millionaires and billionaires at all times, right? We're not. Shout out to Denzel Washington in Training Day. We put in our own work around here, homie. You know what I'm saying? He better put in his own work. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said he's been trying, but he's being shunned by the community. I don't know what to tell him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell him. My thing is, get it done. He, regardless of what's going on with him, he still has more assets than anybody in this chat. And me, I'm not trying to be funny. Me personally, myself, I want to do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to do my own thing. Terrence Howard has got way more money than I've ever seen in my entire life. Good luck. You know what I'm saying? Good luck. And my thing is too, this is actually a really good question. So When you say he got shunned by the community, which community did he get shunned by? Do y'all anybody in the chat? Do anybody know? What community did Terrence Howard get shunned by as far as presenting his quote unquote energy model? And I don't think his energy model was based on nuclear fusion. His energy model was based on the movement of particles, if I'm not mistaken. And when I say the movement of particles, I'm talking about the spherical circular patterns that particles move in, not so much fusion energy. So it's like kind of different. But now shout out to AB. AB says Hollywood. Now, shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key says scientific. Now, here goes my thing, right? Why can't Terrence Howard go to a quote unquote black fusion company or black energy company and present his ideas to that cutting edge black fusion company? Shout out shout out to AV. AV said that's why he's talking about Diddy and Take That. Is he really? I didn't know. Is he Terrence Howard talking about Diddy? I didn't know that was going on. You know what I'm saying? I think Terrence Howard should do his own thing, man. You know what I'm saying? I think he can do his own thing. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, "Come on, Rod. Hey, come on. Look, shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, "Come on. Look. Hey, what did I talk about 3 years ago, Carlton? Didn't I talk about the importance of fusion energy? Right? In the PowerPoint. Hey, I guess you know what I'm saying, Terrence Howard rolled snake eyes. You know what I'm saying? I guess he rolled snake eyes, man. That's the dangers of not having no factors of production. You know what I'm saying? Hey, now this is Carlton's favorite question. Who doing Twitter spaces on how to get this fusion reaction controlled? Oh, that's wild. Shout out to AB. AB said, yeah. He said that Diddy told him to bend over or something. For real? See, that's what. See, I mean, like, how you supposed to do anything? How you supposed to do anything in an environment like that? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said Corey Holcomb said Terrence Howard was sharing chili dogs and now he complaining. That's wild. That's wild. So they was doing all that stuff instead of getting them they was doing all that instead of getting them thesis wrote. You know what I'm saying? They was playing around in feces instead of writing theses. Yeah. Shout out to Cameron. They're playing around in feces instead of writing a thesis. Oh well, you know what I'm saying? What was he? He was talking about them tetrahedrons. Them tetrahedrons wasn't the only thing sitting and spinning. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be funny, man. This gonna sound bad, but it is what it is. I ain't in the business of saving Terrence Howard. You know what I'm saying? He on his own. You know what I'm saying? If you have had access to more money and more resources your entire life, I'm the last person that you want to look to for any type of help, any type of sympathy, any type of explanation. I ain't got no holler for you at all. You know what I'm saying? None. You know what I'm saying?
And the purpose of fusion is we want to continue to keep doing that, continue to fuse atoms and generate more and more energy. We have done that for many years on NIF. And what happened back in December, we actually got more energy.
But look, though, check this out. Just look at this, right? I told people back at, you know what I'm saying, like 3 years ago, hey, this is where the world is going. This is where the world was going. But that, I think, what was popping back then when we was talking about that stuff? It was other stuff. It was other stuff that was more important. You know what I'm saying? There's always something more important than something that's got some value. So, you know what I'm saying? So nobody took the advice. Nobody even got into fusion. Nobody really even cared about fusion. You know what I'm saying? And now Terrence Howard just drawing little, you know what I'm saying? Just drawing little pictures. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got nobody to go to. He had to go to the weirdo community. You know what I'm saying? And the weirdo community told him to bend over. You know what I'm saying? And look, I ain't trying to be funny, man. You know what I'm saying? But like when people ain't got no resources, when people ain't got nothing, they get told to bend over. That's what be happening. You know what I'm saying? Somebody be like, yo, I got it for you. You know what I'm saying? Bend over. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate to say it, you know what I'm saying, but I don't hate to say it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said, I think the point is that he hasn't bent over, which is why it's difficult for his ideas to get looked at. I think that he could get his ideas looked at. I think that he definitely could get his ideas looked at. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, when he came out with his idea, he went on a podcast tour and presented his ideas on the podcast. One of the podcasts that he went on was the Joe Rogan show. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. AB said also they said take AB said they said take that. He kept his man card. Now let me ask you guys this. All of these people in this video, I don't think nobody asked any of these people to bend over. They might do some weird stuff at their private parties. But I don't think none of that was contingent on working at these places or anything like that. Yeah, he went on Joe Rogan twice. I think he went on another podcast too. And then I think he was supposed to debate Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a lot of people that got money that quote unquote didn't bend over, right? Like 50 Cent didn't bend over, even though a lot of people don't like 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't like 50 Cent. I don't like 50 Cent. He a troll. He didn't bend over though. You know what I'm saying? 50 Cent got a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Howard could holler at 50 Cent. Matter of fact, he actually even played in the 50 Cent movie, right? Wasn't Terrence Howard in Get Rich or Die Trying? Now, here goes my question. What's up with the prototypes for these Terrence Howard models of energy? Because I don't think it costs millions of dollars to create a prototype or to run an AI simulation to see how accurate it is. You know what I'm saying? And another thing that he could do is he could put the entire idea on the blockchain as an NFT. So if anybody ever tries to adopt the technology later and it's accurate, he'll already have his ownership stamp on it. You know what I'm saying? Now here goes another thing, right? And you know, this is always something that might not be popular, But other people, like, there could be the possibility that his model is just entirely wrong. So then people just like, I just don't want to deal with it. That could be a possibility too. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely funding sources out there. You know what I'm saying? And like I, you know, me personally, like I said, I'm not interested. I'm definitely not interested in saving no millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said he was on PBD about a week ago. I would like to see him go on a science podcast with these ideas. And how did that conversation go? Because I don't really watch Patrick Bet Davis. You know what I'm saying? I don't mess with dude. You know what I'm saying? I might flame him up a little bit here and there, but as far as like consistently watching his content, Patrick Bet Davis, in my opinion, is a topical version of DJ Vlad. You know what I'm saying? I don't mess with stuff like that too much. Valuetainment money. You know what I'm saying? Not my thing. You know what I'm saying? I think if I'm not, they had Judge Joe Brown on there on Patrick Bet Davis on PBD. It was either on PBD or Valuetainment. You know, they brought him on there to trash black people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So what did Patrick Bet Davis and what did the NASA PhD say? And again, though, Terrence Howard's his idea is not a fusion energy idea. You know what I'm saying? His idea is more of a quantum idea than a fusion energy idea. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, you know, I mean, do what everybody else do. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said the NASA PhD agreed more than anything, to be honest. So there you go. So if the NASA PhD agreed, then that means that in some instance, he might have some type of viable model. Shop it around. You know what I'm saying? Shop it around. You know what I'm saying? Don't shop it over here because I ain't gonna buy it, but you know what I'm saying? Shop it around. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said he should get with Stephen Ballmer. Their technologies / inventions are up the same alley. Yeah, he should get with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Get with somebody. Don't get with Blacklight though. You know what I'm saying? Blacklight ain't got no holler for you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, get with Stephen. Cause I'm serious, man. Like I ain't trying to be funny, man, but I am not into making millionaires more rich. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done that my entire life working at a job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to volunteer and do it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. Black Bitcoin Key said, no, it's not fusion, but it's still about free energy. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people that have free energy ideas. You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, none of them came out. A lot of weird stuff happened to them people. You know what I'm saying? Tesla had the human potentiation electronic model for free energy. Who knows what happened to him? You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, if Terrence Howard can shop himself around Hollywood and get a deal, he knows what it takes to be able to. I mean, you're not restricted to the United States market either. You know what I'm saying? He could create convertible bond offerings like a lot of these crypto companies are doing. Other countries that are interested in these type of energy ideas, he could present the ideas to them. He could go to a Bilderberg meeting. He actually got access to that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, here go the thing, right? Here go the thing. I might sound like a hater, right? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, Rob, why you hating on my man Terrence Howard? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, hustle and flow, man. Hustle and flow. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Man, if I died tomorrow, Terrence Howard wouldn't give two shits and he wouldn't even know. You know what I'm saying? I definitely ain't wasting no time and energy on no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna dedicate energy and time, I'm gonna dedicate energy and time to where it's gonna be reciprocated at. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna dedicate energy and time to, you wouldn't give me an autograph probably if I seen you in public, but you would take some money from me, you know what I'm saying, for your science project. I'm good. And I ain't just saying that about Terrence Howard, man. I would say that about anybody that's a celebrity that I really, you know, could care less about. You know what I'm saying? Not even just a celebrity, a rich person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you rich. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get rich. Poor people don't get rich by giving rich people their money. You know what I'm saying? Or even poor people don't get rich by giving rich people their time, because we got to give them one or the other in order for us to make money. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You if you had access to them Hollywood paychecks, bro, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got nothing for you. You heard me?
Out from the experiment than the energy used to actually start the experiment.
And a lot of people are like, how can you do that? You're violating, you know, the fundamental equations of physics. And you're not, actually, because what we're doing is that energy and mass are interchangeable through Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, right? So when we fuse two atoms together, the product on the other end actually weighed a little bit less than your original two did. So that differential in mass goes into Einstein's equation, you get a huge amount of energy out. That is the potential of fusion. If you can harness fusion in the laboratory, you can actually get more energy out than you put in our case, with the lasers.
And that's exactly what happened. On December 5th, 2022, fusion ignition was achieved for the first time ever by Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory on the National Ignition Facility, or NIF. And I don't think I can really overemphasize what a huge deal this is. Like, scientists and engineers all over the world have been working toward achieving fusion ignition for decades, since the 1950s. See, John Nuckolls was a physicist who spent his whole career at Lawrence Livermore, and he was one of the first to think that ignition was something that could even be done. He and his fellow scientists knew that, theoretically, it was a possibility. They just didn't have a thing powerful enough to be the thing that could squish the fuel together to induce fusion and release that energy.
Then, in 1960, we had the invention of the laser, and John, along with lots of other key scientists here, saw the potential of using the laser to confine the fuel.
Lasers at Livermore started with the Janus laser, sparking a laser legacy of ever-increasing power and energy through the decades, leading up to the National Ignition Facility, which began operations in 2009 as an essential component of the Science-Based Stockpile Stewardship Program. But it's taken that whole journey to actually achieve ignition, because making fusion happen is really, really, really hard, for several reasons.
So the first one is the laser.
There's 192 beams, and all of them have to arrive at the same time, and each one of those individual laser pulses has to be perfectly shaped to 3% accuracy. And finally, we have to...
So, I mean, again, they're giving out money, $100 million, to start one of these laboratories, right? And like I said, a couple years ago, I was telling people this, showing people this, like, yo, fusion energy about to be the wave. It's one of the things that's going to be necessary to upgrade the power grid that we have here in the United States. Like everything, it fell on deaf ears. You know what I'm saying? Now they talking about using it for AI, quantum computing, endless applications for unlimited energy. You know what I'm saying? But like Drake says, you know how that shit go. So yeah, man, that's it. Got some more stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about this losing faith in U.S. assets, because I think that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? I think people doing a great disservice by not really mentioning that. You know what I'm saying? People talking about the tariffs like it's first and goal. You know what I'm saying? With nothing on the field. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Shout out to the stream sponsors, man. Make sure y'all show these folks some love. I definitely appreciate y'all. Shout out to my man, Black Free Thinker. Make sure y'all show Black Free Thinker some love. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. Shout out to my man, Mordecus. I appreciate you, bro. Shout out to my man, Frozen. I appreciate it. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show my man, AB Promotions some love. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. You know we got to hit Brooklyn Queen with the Myron Gaines. Again! And y'all, and since we had Myron up there, y'all know I just got to reiterate, ain't nobody ever getting a Fresh and Fit stream out of me ever again. You know what I'm saying? Ain't going to be no again for no Fresh and Fit stream, because ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to my man, AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show my man, AB Promotions some love. Again. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, hey, okay, I'm fresh about the package. Time I did, I pay my dues. Affiliated to this paper, I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping out just an unfamiliar coordinates. Hopped off the porch like I could touch the sky. Red is not one trip. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing, I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My love's clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Game recognized game. I'm from the Bay, okay, I'm versatile and my slang was different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound. Got a target back on my backside. Took a cat peeling with the cast iron. Better run for it, run before I catch you. Niggas out ball it, block it. Trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life. Don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing. You do best not to test it. Yeah, you're right. Real all in my blood supply. Dig it ball up top, finna make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No cosign and no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. You know, cosign and no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.